everybody, and welcome to another edition of Frenzy Extra. I'm Andy Lacombe. We come to you this week from Grafton High School, where the Indians are getting set for their homecoming game against the Northbridge Rams on Friday night. We'll have more from both teams in just a little bit. But we start with the Assabet Valley Aztecs and a resurgence of sorts over there in Marlborough, as the Aztecs took their lumps a little bit last year but return a large senior class. Those guys have that experience now, and that experience translating into wins so far this year.
Senior leadership. Last year we only had 4 seniors. All our juniors got to play a lot and had a lot of playing time. That experience, I think, has really just helped us be what we are this year.
Feel like a family. Been together pretty much most of us all 4 years, and just kind of big family really. Always to come together after win or on the weekends and stuff and hanging out.
The beginning of the season, we all weren't sure how good we were going to be, but then after the first game we knew we had something going. So after that, I think everybody just did a great job. We all have fun with each other. Been together all these 4 years. I've been playing, since I was a freshman. All these guys, the same guys. It's fun.
Definitely got to be aggressive. Aggressive teams they like to hit. But once we start driving and playing their side of the line, we should be golden.
Monty Tech was a big game for us. They're all big games for us. We've been down a little bit the last couple of years, so we take every one of these games seriously, and we have to compete and just come into the next game just like it was the last.
Staying in the Colonial League, let's take a trip down to Upton now and check in on the Blackstone Valley Tech Fighting Beavers. Archie's crew has won 3 in a row after dropping their opener to now undefeated Maynard. And you know what? Valley Tech had an eye-opening win over Sutton last weekend. The Beavers looking good, and they have a big one in their league coming up this week.
The first loss kind of made us realize that we're not the team that can just come out and just bully kids. We actually have to put in the effort every week to win games and have the success that we've been having the past 3 games.
We started off pretty slow, actually. Like, coming off that loss, we just wanted to come back and win from there. Just like our whole team together, we have a good intensity during practice, and we went from there and went 3-1.
Winning the past 3 games, big especially against Bay Path in our Cal division, Cal League, and then one out of division and out of league was a big win for us. And I think that really set the tone for the rest of the season. Monty Tech, they're big. They have some big kids. They're fast, and coming from last year, lost in the vocational state championship. We want to win. Kind of a redemption game for us, and a big league game win for us. We got to be physical.
They're going to be a good team. It's going to be a good game. We just need to play like we have the past 3 games, physical, fast, and the way we do it.
Come out and play the way we played against Sutton, who was a 3-0 team coming into us, and we knew what we had to do. We executed our plan, and we just did what we had to do, and we won 42-0. If we just do that against Monty, and we'll be fine.
Now to this game, Northbridge and Grafton. It's homecoming for Grafton, and the Northbridge Rams come in at 3-1. They're the defending state champs, but that was last year's team. This year, the seniors, juniors, sophomores establishing their own identity as Northbridge Rams. They've won a couple in a row now, and they know in this game with Grafton, they'll be in for a fight.
Going to be definitely a tough game. Fatu Malafanu, their running back, he's a very, very good player. Going to Syracuse, we're going to have to stop him first, and then we'll have to see if those other 10 guys can beat us.
They're pretty intense, next town over. Pretty much fight for Central Mass right now, so it's a pretty big game.
A lot of guys have been stepping up, making big plays. We're starting to really fill out as a complete team.
Yeah, the first couple weeks, a lot of new guys starting varsity for the first time. So I think we're all really starting to come together as a team and playing as one.
Stop Malafanu. Stop him. That's objective number 1.
Well, it'll be a big atmosphere Friday night here at Grafton High School. The Indians are getting ready for their homecoming game. It is against those Northbridge Rams, and it'll be almost like a Super Bowl of sorts for the Indians, who haven't beaten Northbridge in the regular season in some time. The Indians know they'll have to be physical to have a shot.
4-0 is nice, but our coaches won't let us be happy with 4-0. We got Northbridge this week. This is our homecoming game, a huge game. They beat us last year 40-0, so that's still in all of our minds. So we want to punish them a little revenge.
Huge game. In my career, we've never beaten Northbridge before. We know it's going to be a physical game. We know it's going to be a mental game.
Other than that, same as every week, just tough practices, got to be physical all week.
We have the utmost respect for Northbridge. They're a great football team, great program, but beating them would be like a Super Bowl to us.
All right, so here are the key high school games we'll be watching for you on the Frenzy on Friday night. Doherty visits Wachusett. That'll be a battle at the mountaintop. Algonquin and Leominster in a key matchup in Division 2. Assabet and Baypath out of the Colonial League. That'll be a fun one. Assabet looking to remain undefeated. Northbridge and Grafton right here, homecoming for the Indians. The Rams trying to stay hot as well. And Quabbin and Oakmont, a battle between two highly improved teams. See all these games and much more Friday night beginning at 10:25 on the Friday Night Football Frenzy. Time for a quick break. When we come back, Jim Wilson, Kevin Shea inside the studio, maybe talking about Archie's guys down there in Upton. You know what I'm talking about, Arch. It is Willie and Shea when we come back on the Frenzy Extra.
Coming up this week on the Friday Night Football Frenzy, rivalry renewed as the Doherty Highlanders visit the Wachusett Mountaineers. It's the Route 122 Rumble as the Northbridge Rams visit the high-flying Grafton Indians. Put on your hitting hat. The Valley Tech Beavers travel to Fitchburg to battle Monty Tech. And Westboro goes under the lights as the Rangers host the Shepherd Hill Rams. The Frenzy on Charter TV 3. The Frenzy is presented by Bay State Savings Bank. Welcome back, everyone. Kevin Shea with Jim Wilson, the sports editor for the Telegram and Gazette Home Team magazine. And hard to believe, Willie, but we're 4 weeks into the season. We're at the halfway point
of the
season.
Point.
We're going to get one bit of business out of the way because we have to get it out of the way first. And then we're going to get into the real meat of it when that's some great matchups that we have this week. But first, we'll talk about Kevin Mensah. You and I are taping this on Tuesday night. The saga, the soap opera continues. So Mensah going into Worcester Superior Court tomorrow on Wednesday. Again, we're taping this on Tuesday night. He's trying to get the injunction to play for the rest of the year. He got an injunction last week to play just for that week because the lawyer was late. So essentially, Kevin Mensah has won twice in Worcester Court, Superior Court. He's looking to win again.
A long national nightmare. I mean, I think at this point, everybody just wants an ending. Whether it's Mensah can play the rest of the year and the MI gets shot down in court, and that's what they're going to go for tomorrow with Wednesday for the injunction. They want to do it for the whole year. They're done with the Friday night, get the black SUV with the blue flashing, sending them down to the game afterwards.
Yeah.
He's going to be showing up in court in football pads the next couple of weeks because it's every week he's trying to fight this injunction. They want to know one way or the other, can you play or not? Let's settle it once and for all. The problem is I didn't think it's going to be that way because I think whatever side loses tomorrow is appealing. But at least if the best case scenario for Kevin is he gets the injunction, he plays the rest of the year, and they can worry about it later. Because I don't think the appeal is going to be heard the next week.
No,
I think they might get a couple weeks to just sort of cool their heels a little bit. And so like I said, we say this every week. I lose track of what I'm saying. I don't want to repeat myself.
Right.
But I'm sure. And the sad thing is, the MIA has to fight this. Even though people look at it and say, why is the MIA doing this? Can't they let him play? Kevin's a good kid. Didn't mean any harm. The fact remains, if they lose this, then other coaches in other sports in other cities and towns can say, well, why can't I have or a parent can say, I'm going to send my kid to this soccer factory, or I'm going to send my kid to this baseball powerhouse because they said it's okay with Kevin Mensah doing this in Shepherd Hill. He can move to school choice and still play and not have to sit out for a year or not get a waiver.
Right. How much pressure do you think the MIA is getting from Central Mass schools to continue this fight?
It depends on who's on the Shepherd Hill schedule. That's what it seems to be. It seems
you're
to be
right.
If you're on the schedule, you have a vested interest in it. You're refreshing Twitter to find out what the results are. But if you're I don't think Quabbin cares.
Right.
I think they might. I mean, they should because, like I said, it's a precedent-setting thing.
Right.
And so it could have ripple effects. And that's the problem because I don't think Kevin Mensah wanted this to happen. I think he wanted to play football. He thought, for whatever reason, that going to Shepherd Hill would increase his chances and it's a better situation for him. And that's all he cared about. At the end of the day, he got bad advice from adults, and now he's in this situation. Now we're trying to fight it. So at the end of the result, he just wants to play football.
Well, and the other thing, too, is and I've said this before, if Kevin Mensah doesn't do an interview on a website, then I think he gets it no matter what. I think Holy Name signs it initially, and you never have a problem with this. I think the biggest thing that hurt him was seen in print in a printed form because, as you and I have said, there is evidence and there are cases of kids moving from school to school for girls basketball. There's a ton of them for girls basketball, for boys basketball, for baseball, for soccer, for swimming, for gymnastics. doesn't matter the sport. There's a ton of precedent for this that schools signed off on. The biggest thing I think for this was that he did an interview, and that's it. And then it was in print there. He said, I think, it'll help me football-wise because they've sent some kids to Division I.
But what precedent does that set, though? So you lie on your form, you say, you know what, I'm not religious anymore. I don't want to go to Holy Name.
Right.
And that's okay. People are supposed to say, oh, okay, whatever. They all know the reasons why.
Right.
So, I mean, I think at the end of the day, whatever his reasons were, they put education purposes for wanting to go to Shepherd Hill and not raise the flag because Holy Name didn't want to be, say they're not as good of an educational school as, that's what the lawyer told me last week. So but because they were untruthful, what kind of precedent you said? He lied on the form like every other school, just sort of fudge it and say, I'm transferring for this for a waiver? I mean, I don't know. It's a slippery slope for a lot of these schools to say, what's going to happen now? What's going to happen in the future? What's going to happen to the kid next year whose parents want him to change schools, or whose kid wants to play with his friends from his summer basketball team?
Right. Well, and that's the thing, too. And what does the MIAA say to this when you have people that are their summer AAU basketball coaches, and now they coach at a high school, and all of a sudden, 2 or 3 girls are coming from other schools to play at that high school, and they're school choicing in to play for their AAU coach who happens to be that high school coach. And, you're an administrator at one school, and you are signing the form for girls to school choice at another school where you're the coach. That's the one thing about when I look at this and I say, okay, if you're the MIAA, and they're going to make the argument that, okay, it'll make it wide open to free agency basically in high school sports. No, it's not. No, it's not. Because you know what? This has been going on for years. It is not going to change one way or another whether Kevin Mensah plays the rest of the year or doesn't. Let him play. Let the kid get looked at by colleges and do what's right for him.
I like playing Mad Libs with your little examples. Like, ooh, what is he talking about?
And you know what I would say too? Holy Name finally came around on this. Pope Francis had the Year of Mercy when he said let's have the Year of Mercy. That was supposed to go through November.
Listen to the Pope.
Now Holy Name did not originally jump on board with this Year of Mercy with Kevin Mensah, and now they came around and now they're backing Kevin Mensah. But can we just go with Pope Francis here and just follow the Year of Mercy and let Kevin Mensah play?
I just want to write about power rankings. That's all I don't.
All right, now we're going to get into some games. We're going to get into the nitty-gritty now and some of the great games we have coming up this week, starting with the battle for Shrewsbury. We got Shrewsbury St. John's. The game has been moved to Friday night. They're going to play at Assumption College. Great venue. It's going to be a great game because you have two teams that are really, really playing well right now. You look at Shrewsbury, and Mike Melzena at linebacker is going to be one of the key players, I think, for Shrewsbury. Because Shrewsbury, first and foremost, you've got to stop Peter Oliver. You've got to stop that St. John's rushing attack. So you look at a guy like Ryan Trokey at safety. He's a 3-year starter for Shrewsbury. He's going to have to be physical and continue his good play. Melzena's going to have to continue his good play. And the leaders are going to have to step up for Shrewsbury on the defensive side of the ball.
Exactly. That's pretty much. It's almost like, what do you stop on St. John's? I mean, you got Peter Oliver, you got Dan Byers. You got a lot of good. Both running backs over 300 yards this year. So it's like a choose your poison kind of thing, which is what the mark of all these good St. John's teams are. What athlete do you stop?
Right.
I mean, every year they have like a class of kids who come in. Either they have a great quarterback or a great skill position, light or they always have the great athletes. So now they have a couple good running backs. So I think Stephen Buchagli at quarterback is going to be a great passer when it's all said and done. I think he's going to put up some great numbers. He's third in passing already. I think he's going to continue on that trend. He's got Pilata and Kamal Saunders. I think great targets.
Yep.
So it's like who do you if you're Shrewsbury coaching staff, who are you looking at and saying, okay, this is the guy we got. How do the Patriots stop all these guys? They take away their best player. Well, who's that for St. John's? They have so many good players.
Right, that's true. And you look on the other side of the thing for Shrewsbury offensively. Drew Campanelli, sophomore starting quarterback, started as a freshman. This is his team now, though. And he has grown tremendously as a leader, as a passer, his understanding of the offense. A.J. Laramie and Tim Rio, the two running backs, especially when they're both in there together. Now, that puts a ton of pressure on the St. John's defense. You look at guys like Tommy Farraco at the defensive end, Hunter Gorgas at tight end, get some run on the defensive side, too. These guys have to stop two very strong and two very shifty runners for Shrewsbury.
And Shrewsbury coming off an emotional win over Marlborough last week, stopping the 2-point conversion as time expired. They sealed the win, so they know going up against it, they can win these good games. These close games, they're tested now.
Yep, and you look at Chris Campbell, Jared Godick, two physical players, unselfish players too for Shrewsbury. When you talk about Steve Bachalia, I got to see him play against Neshoba last week. What really stands out to me is his poise. He's got great poise back there. The big long touchdown pass he threw, which was the game winner, He's back. He had a lot of time. Now, internally, a quarterback, usually it's like 3 seconds, 2 seconds in your head, 1, 2, 3. If I don't have anything, okay, I got to get rid of the football. But Chalia rolled to his left. Then he started getting pressure, made a man miss, rolls back to his right. 2 defensive linemen coming clean to hit him. He knew he was going to get hit, stepped into the throw, threw a beautiful ball for the touchdown. That was the difference in this game. Hunter Gorgas is another guy, though, the tight end. He's a Shrewsbury kid, played AYF in Shrewsbury, so he knows these kids very well on the Shrewsbury side. He's going to be a big factor because he's so big and tall. He's athletic. And then I look at Zach Pedoni, too. Yep. And you look at the great bloodlines. Mike Pedoni, his father was a great player at St. John's, is a phenomenal coach, was a great player at BU, phenomenal coach at Holy Cross. Zach, not in the three-point stance. He's the first Pedoni not to get in the three-point stance because I think he's the smartest Pedoni.
They won't talk to him in the holidays because of it.
He caught a touchdown pass against Shepherd Hill. I think he's a good player, too, and another X factor because both with Bachalia and with Pedoni, their fathers were coaches. They understand the game really well.
Exactly. I think that's what it's going to come down. I think it's the X factors. Who's going to be the hero of this game? I love the fact that it's at Assumption now.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Shrewsbury wants to have the home game every other year, and it's a Shrewsbury town thing, but this game is so big it should be at a college every year because I think they're going to bang the place out, especially on Friday night. It's going to be a great atmosphere.
Northbridge and Grafton, this is going to be a great one, too. Jack Marzik now is the quarterback for Northbridge the last 2 weeks, and Northbridge has been putting up some big numbers offensively. Marzik's a great athlete, and everyone knew that in Northbridge coming in, and now you're seeing him at the quarterback position making plays. He's got a great arm, he's got an accurate arm, but he can make plays with his feet. I think that's going to be the difference this week because Grafton up front is unstoppable. Grafton has a great offensive and defensive lines. That's where they win games. They have the best player in Central Mass, in Ifatu Melifonwu. He, for my money, is the best player in Central Mass, but they're winning because of the line. Exactly. Defensive, offensive lines. They're going to get pressure on Marzik, but he can make plays, and that's what's, to me, is can he make enough plays against that front seven of Grafton, and then can they tackle Melifonwu? Because no one's been able to do it in Central Mass so far.
This will be a similar when Grafton played West Boylston a couple weeks ago. It was like the bigger playmaker. Who would McCoubry at West Boylston or Melifonwu or Grafton? Who would come out on top? Both Division I athletes, and it's a matter of just we got your best and your best at the same field. Let's go.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's the same thing with Northbridge. I think Marzik was one of the guys when everybody's looking at the team they had last year with Northbridge, with Schofer and all those seniors, they had a tremendous team. People say, what's going to happen next year? Marzik was one of those guys that the coach would talk about as a leader that could step up and carry this team on. And I think the first couple of weeks he was sort of like put your athlete on the field and have them get the plays, get under the linebackers, make some big moves. Moving to the quarterback is exactly what made Schofer so good. And quarterbacks before him, Brown and all those guys, all the legends in the hallways. I think having, he's a playmaker. He has a ball in his hands every play now. And let's see what Grafton can do to contain him. Because like you said, the linemen of Grafton are going to come at him hard. And let's see what Northbridge can do to counteract that.
No, you're right. And going back that lineage of Northbridge quarterbacks, they've more often than not, they're athletes that can run with the football as well, not just straight pocket passers. And that's one of the things now that they have with Marzik is a kid that can run and can just put a lot of pressure on defenses. We want to congratulate, too, the Grafton coach, Chris McMahon, getting the New England Patriots Coach of the Week honor today and getting a check for $1,000 to go towards the football program, too. But Mac, very well deserving of this. Great. He's done such a great job, and this whole staff has there at Grafton.
I'm happy to see them reach out to Central Mass and find one of the better coaches. I mean, he's done a great job with that program. After Mike Ross left, they haven't missed a beat. They've been competitive every year. He's a great job. The kids love playing for him. He's fantastic for that program.
Yeah, and he puts in so much time and effort into there. He's watching film and watching huddle at 3 in the morning, and as all these high school coaches do. But he's obsessed with doing the best for the kids and does a phenomenal job. So Chris McMahon, congratulations on the award from the New England Patriots, Massachusetts Coach of the Week. All right, looking at Wachusett and Doherty. Now you look at this game here, and Wachusett getting some votes. Some number one votes in the poll. This guy voted him number one this week. They've been very impressive. To me, they've been just so impressive. Anthony Bohonic, as a running back and a linebacker, is one of the best two-way players in Central Mass. He's so physical. I mean, he hammers people defensively at linebacker, and he's a physical, hard-nosed, typical Wachusett running back. He wants to run over you and not around you.
He's like the prototypical Wachusett player. Dubs put him in his bag, just like brought him out of his garden in the backyard. And this is who I want.
I love it.
Be a focal point of my offense and a focal point of my defense. Because like you said, he loves to hit. He's a great running back. He's like we said last week, this is like the prototypical Wachusett team of just a bunch, like a stable of like 3 or 4 running backs that can get the job done. All right, you want to stop for a title? Fine. I'm going to get Faithful Bahanek the rest of the game, and he'll carry the load. I mean, they just love, they have a couple big wins on the season. They're for real.
Yeah, you're at 356 yards rushing last week against Leominster.
Never
Mike
happens.
Fiorelli, the
Never
quarterback,
happens.
does a great job. No, you're right. You're not going to. That Leominster coaching staff is really good, real experience. They make adjustments. They could not stop the Wachusett running attack. 356 yards. I mean, that's willpower, it's strength, and it's playing, like we've said, playing physical. Not many teams want to hit for all 4 quarters. Not many teams want to say, hey, listen, we're going into a 2-hour fight. We're going to hit you from the first minute to the last minute. Wachusett's one of those teams. They're going to hit you in the first minute. They're going to hit you in the end of the 2 hours, too.
Just as hard.
Yeah.
There's no drop-off. They love that kind of, it was a perfect game for Wachusett. They established dominance. Like you said, almost 400 yards of rushing against a very good Leominster team. I mean, the record, they've had, when's the last time Leominster lost 2 straight games?
Right. You and I were talking about that. I don't know
I'll
when.
have to get Bill Ballou on it because I'm sure it doesn't happen often.
No.
Anyway, so I think they're having that. Leominster's going into a game against Algonquin, a must-win game for both teams because I think Algonquin coming off a Shepherd Hill loss, they want to put in the rearview mirror as fast as possible.
Right.
So I think Wachusett having that sort of beat their chest kind of game coming into Doherty. Doherty's coming off an emotional loss to St. Peter Marion. It's a game with a lot of eyes on it.
Yeah, 20 seconds left. Another game with a lot of eyes. Divisional-wise, Auburn and Uxbridge. Auburn's undefeated. Uxbridge is really a strong team. They lost their quarterback last week during the game. Who knows if he's going to be back, Max White-Cohen, but it certainly affected them in that loss.
It should be a good game because I think this is probably Uxbridge's toughest test to date. A very good Auburn team. I think the coaching staff likes it. A little quiet about it, so it's not like the usual Auburn steamroller, but they're quietly perfect, and don't worry, we're getting eyes on you soon.
Yeah, they're playing phenomenally. We will put them under the microscope very soon. All right, all the time we have, Willie. Thanks again. We will see you next week with more of the Kevin and Willie segment, but plenty more of the Frenzy Extra coming your way when we take a break. Andy Lacombe will take it from here.
More Mensa talk coming up.
Bay State Savings Bank brings you Kasasa. What's Kasasa? It's a catchy word for earning cash that just might make you want to dance. Get paid for doing simple things you do anyway. That's free Kasasa checking.
Ask for Kasasa by name at Bay State Savings Bank, proud sponsor of the Friday Night Football Frenzy.
Welcome back. As we talked about in the preseason, locals expected to make big contributions for the Boston College Eagles, and they are to date so far. Boston College, much improved so far this season in doing it behind 3 guys who played their football here on Friday nights in Central Massachusetts. Brenna Wilson has a look.
The Boston College football team has many former Central Mass standouts, each pulling their weight in their respective positions.
It feels good. It's a little bit harder conditioning-wise, but definitely it's still moving as well, and it's really, really great. I kind of like it on the field being the same weight as the guys.
Sophomore Chris Lindstrom added weight in the offseason and is part of an offensive line that has averaged 335 yards of total offense per game. Junior Isaac Yadam continues to shine on defense, averaging about 3 tackles per game and recording his first forced fumble against UMass.
My role in the secondary, I'm just trying to make more plays on the ball, create more turnovers, and make sure that everything we do, we practice at a high level to be the best secondary in the country.
Head coach Steve Adazio says that even though it may be a young Eagles team, the players have progressed in talent from the previous year.
They're going to win their share of games because of flat love of the game, toughness, and everything that goes along with it. And then exactly, we're going to be better at each one of those positions, right, than we were 1 year ago.
Davon Jones, a redshirt freshman out of St. John's, is already proving that he is ready to play.
Well, coming in as a redshirt freshman, that year I took advantage of just going to the weight room, getting stronger, learning the offense and the defense at the time.
This past Saturday, Jones recorded his first touchdown as an Eagle as Boston College beat Buffalo 35-3 at Alumni Stadium.
My personal goal is just to help this team be a better team. I'll do anything I can do to help us win, so that's what I'm looking forward to.
In the last 2 games, Jones has averaged 5.5 yards per carry, and he is also showcasing his ability to catch, hauling in a pass for 38 yards this past weekend. Jones made the switch from receiver to running back upon his arrival at Chestnut Hill and feels confident in his new position.
It's been pretty well. I mean, during the spring, that was when it really took time to learn what I was doing, learn the offense, stuff like that. My running back coach, Coach White, really took care of me, helped me learn the offensive scheme and everything like that. But, I mean, overall, I like the change and I like where it's headed.
After a strong start to the season, this Central Mass trio has their work cut out for them as Boston College hosts number 3 Clemson this Friday night. Brenna Wilson, Frenzy Extra.
Thanks, Brenna. Much more on the Frenzy Extra here from Grafton High School still to come. Stay with us.
Coming up this week on the Friday Night Football Frenzy, rivalry renewed as the Doherty Highlanders visit the Wachusett Mountaineers. It's the Route 122 Rumble as the Northbridge Rams visit the high-flying Grafton Indians. Put on your hitting hat. The Valley Tech Beavers travel to Fitchburg to battle Monty Tech. And Westboro goes under the lights as the Rangers host the Shepherd Hill Rams. The Frenzy on Charter TV 3. The Frenzy is presented by Bay State Savings Bank.
Welcome back. The Holy Cross Football Crusaders getting a huge win a week ago on the road. Their first Patriot League game, beating Lafayette and doing it with essentially their 4th string quarterback. It's another week for Holy Cross and another week in the league. Head coach Tom Gilmore ready for another fight with Bucknell.
You're always concerned losing your first string quarterback, but truth be told, Jeff was 4th on the depth chart just a few weeks ago. So it's an unusual situation to lose 3 quarterbacks in one season, but that's indeed what happened. Jeff did a great job getting prepared for the game, staying in tune, even though he wasn't getting a lot of even practice time this year. He stayed in tune and he knew what he was doing, and he made good on his opportunity. I don't think there's anyone that you can take lightly on your schedule. Records are records, and obviously it indicates how good you are, but there's really no bad teams that you play at this level. So anyone can beat anyone on any given day, and we've seen that a few times this year. And they're a good team. They've consistently been the top-ranked defense in our league for I don't know how many years, but probably 5 or 6 straight years now. And they're a run-based offense that does a really good job with a big O-line, with a pro prospect at left tackle, and a nice stable of running backs that do a good job of finding holes and keeping your offense off the field.
You can see the game live here on Charter TV 3 beginning at 1 o'clock. Bucknell and Holy Cross Patriot League football action live on Charter TV 3. Well, the Assumption College Greyhounds coming off their first loss of the season. Somewhat unfamiliar territory for Bob Chesney's group as they took a loss to Post this past Saturday. Now they get ready for Bentley, also in the NE10. It's a big-time matchup for Assumption and a big bounce-back game for the Hounds.
Something we again spoke about early during camp was, can we run the ball, can we stop the run, and can we win the turnover battle? Those are the 3 things that often are going to lead a team to a win or prevent them from winning. And we didn't do a great job of stopping the run on the drive when we really needed to. They were able to stop our run, and the turnover battle, they won 3-0. So that all culminated with a couple key injuries and some other things out there that we really missed our opportunities. They were a really good football team. We think we're a very good football team as well. It's just that they made more plays when push came to shove, and we missed our opportunities on making those plays. Going to Bentley, obviously it's a tough place to play. They're a very good football team. They actually hung with Post, and Post kicked the game-winning field goal at the last second to actually go ahead and win the game. So they did probably just the same as we did, maybe a little bit better against that Post team than we did. So we certainly understand the challenge that lies ahead of us. It's going to be about kind of perfecting our craft over this week. It's going to be a very physical game. Sometimes they line up with 6 or 7 offensive linemen on the field, and their defense is very, very good, very dynamic.
To our Frenzy alumni Dean's List now. We begin with Stephen Bean, the former David Prouty standout playing at Framingham State's had a heck of a year transitioning to offense, 83 yards through the air and a touchdown against UMass Dartmouth. Brandon Miller out of Wachusett playing at UMass Dartmouth. In that game, he had 6 solo tackles against Framingham State. Shane Padini out of Leicester playing close to home at Becker, 6 tackles and a 4 fumble recovery against Gallaudet. Matt Lorero, one of the leaders of the Worcester State team, Former member of the Horsemen at West Boylston, 14 tackles to lead the team. He also had a sack against Mass Maritime. Pat Ricard, we saw him earlier this year, the former Prouty standout, playing at Maine, 8 tackles and 3 sacks against Bryant. And Zach Howard, also from Prouty, playing at Westfield State now, 14 tackles, including 1.5 tackles for a loss against Plymouth State. Well, that'll do it for this edition of the Frenzy Extra from Grafton High School. We'll see you Friday night for the Frenzy. Good night.